Welcome into the trainer closet, where trainers' secrets are revealed and tested. Individual results may vary depending on genome and microbiome. Here now is...
Rest. Did you, how many times did you do that at home in front of your mirror?
That just came out naturally. I think I've watched our videos so much that the intro is stuck in my head now.
Did you watch them out of interest or just pure necessity?
Interest, a slight bit of narcissism.
A slight bit. So, Chelsea is here, you have your cup. Apparently you got a lot of good feedback on the cup, so he's going to bring the cup out more often. There it is. What do you want to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about the mind-body connection.
And that was prompted by a question from one of our friends.
One of our highly respected colleagues.
And he wanted to basically, I think the basic idea of his is like he wants to know how you actually can make sure that he knows exactly that he's using the right muscle at the right time for the right movement, so to speak. Like, first off, I guess you would have to define what muscle you want to use in which movement, so to speak. Is that somewhat what do you think he was trying to convey or not?
Yes, I think we as trainers and even people that exercise a lot that may not be trainers,
right,
you take for granted the sensation of using different parts of your body. I think we're used to it.
Getting sore in that specific body part, making
Yep.
sure that that's the body part that I plan to get sore into.
Yep. And by the book, we're talking neuromuscular system here, and by the book, a motor unit is one motor neuron in all of the muscle fibers that it innervates.
That's right.
So what does that mean? That means that when you activate one motor unit, you're activating all of those muscle fibers at the same time?
That's correct. That is also like depending upon then what the signaling is. Like, there's and with neurons it's kind of an all or nothing, right? So neurons will fire at a certain, if that reaches a certain level, that will transmit, and then again all of those will be contracted. But the basic thing is kind of almost like Morse, like the way the body talks to the muscle cells is actually by how fast these signals come along.
The electric signal coming from your brain.
Exactly, along from the brain or from your spinal cord, and that will then determine the strength of the contraction and all that stuff. Like, so basically it's a fine tuning. It's almost similar to the computer that only has a 0 and a 1 to decide what's going on. It's like, and here we have just like fire, and then the amount of the fire and the how fast they come will actually decide what the muscle will do.
So now, Orest, why
Yes.
is one person better at using a motor unit than another person?
That is basically the connections between the neurons.
Can you make those connections better?
Yes.
How?
Basically the same way as you do muscular training. Like, it's basically like, it's almost like the more you connect, like the more you actually train a certain movement, right? And that's kind of the same thing if you're doing something. And I'm very tentative with the word correct and incorrect, because it's a lot of times people say incorrect for a certain movement, and I'm not necessarily like, it depends again what you want to do, so to speak. A lot of times it depends on what. So, but anyway, so like if you say we're moving in a way that is incorrect, there are certain neurons that are connected, and they kind of, your body goes to those channels like relatively quick, and in order to change that, you would have to kind of find the other neurons that you would innervate and repeat that tons and tons of times, so that these energy channels, so to speak, become more efficient, connected, efficient.
So you're basically describing the scientific definition of muscle memory, is that right?
Yes. What people would normally call as muscle memory, yes.
And then you can change your muscle memory through repetitions of a different move.
Yes, and I mean, it's kind of also like even within the muscle fiber type, like, if you have, again, the neuron branches out, again, through the movement that I do, I will actually kind of be able to actually either use a certain, it's called, what is it, dendroid, or like basically like there's a...
The Golgi tendon organ?
No, I'm talking about like the neuron itself is divided in one thing that actually gets a sensory,
right.
and then sends it out. And if I, again, within the neuron, even if I have my sensory things reaching out, it's kind of like a tree, and it kind of goes to a muscle fiber. Like, depending on which one we use more often, so to speak, through
That becomes more efficient.
yeah,
the
efficient
connection.
loss. Like it's the same as like what I would say. Like it's like if you ever seen somebody dance nicely versus somebody who's really robotic, right?
Like watching me dance as opposed to watching you dance.
Yeah, me being the elegant one, he's not so elegant. But that kind of, again, like if I learn or relearn, like to flex here, it's like a synchronization. So like
Yes.
you're learning the synchronization between the muscles, the talk between the muscles kind of a
So
little
moral of
bit.
the story, to get better at using a motor neuron, you use it over and over again.
In the perfect way, the way you want it to use it.
And that's why proper form in the gym is so important. You know, everybody wants to increase their body control, but nobody really wants to put in the work of every single move is teaching your body that move.
It's it's exactly what you just kind of saying. It's like, it overrides anything else. Best form
Movement.
first. And then on top of it, I want to just add to that. It's like, I think it's okay to do like 1 or 2 reps to failure, not in 100% perfect form always, as long as you know that.
So you're kind of
aware of
drilling
it.
home some sort of extra strength, on top of failure, beyond failure.
Yeah, kind of like, like we all know, like in the end when your muscle kind of gives
Yep.
out, like instead of like, just using your biceps for flexion, you might,
Yep.
get a little bit, lower back in there, or shoulders, or
And a little bit of that is okay.
a little. I think it's okay as long as you know what you're doing.
And they say that's when a lot of neuromuscular adaptations happen. And I don't know, I'm not 100% on the science of this, but I know that there's research that when you're in that extremely stressed state is when
Yeah.
motor learning occurs.
I think
And,
what they really mean is like that when you actually go to that level of training, when
Yeah.
you're really that fatigued, that's
Yeah,
when some real
that's when you
change
can
will
unlock
take place.
change.
Yeah,
Yep.
Not
And that makes sense. I mean, like thinking back to youth sports, you running around for hours and hours and hours, and you're doing all the moves that your coach tells you to do, and then eventually you learn how to play baseball, or you learn how to play, in your case, ballet.
Very, very complete. I also did track and field too. I mean, I don't know why he's on ballet so much.
No,
but
ballet's
yes.
great. I don't know why you're getting a little defensive.
No,
there.
I'm not getting defensive at all. But like you're on and on about it. It's like
So another thing I want to touch on is bringing attention to, if you're trying to use your chest more. I find myself cueing clients as a trainer all the time. Mentally think about squeezing your elbows forward. Your chest controls your shoulder, and your shoulder and the muscles around your shoulder move your upper arm. So while you're doing a bench press, if you're only thinking about moving the weight, you have the tendency, if you're a tricep dominant person, you might use your triceps more than your chest. So when you're really trying to figure out which motor unit that you're using in your body, even just visualizing, and there's some apps out there now too that you can see the anatomy of the human body and the skeleton and the muscles moving. Just visualizing what you're actually trying to work and putting yourself inside of that experience, I think, is also another way to make sure you're using the right muscle groups.
Well, I think that's a great point, and also I think that is very helpful. Again, some people tend to learn by watching, some others don't.
Right.
And then you have to find different things. But like again, there's tons of different things that you can actually again by touch. Yeah, and again,
Some biofeedback.
Yeah, biofeedback, your own
Yeah.
biofeedback. If your coach can, I feel that. And then a lot of times, what I feel is forgotten about is the negative part of a lot of moves. So if you, again, it helps. First off, most of the times you tend to be stronger on the
The eccentric part.
exactly, and then the concentric part, and so you can actually lift more weight or move more weight or lower more weight, so to speak. And if you're able to kind of maintain that muscle to not get completely shut off, then I think that's also like another easy way of firing the muscle up and keeping it fired up.
Hope we helped.
Yes.
RS, you take the ending today.
Subscribe, make us happy, and let the cat in the back come out, and that's it.